Hello, and welcome to the Lou Review podcast, where we interview local business owners and nonprofit leaders about what they're doing to make the Louisville area great. Today, I get to interview Jason Wetherington of the Animal Care Society. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us, Rosa. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, definitely. So I have just more recently become aware of the great work that you're doing. I got to meet you at the Christmas fundraiser, and now we're in April. So if you're listening to this, the Animal Care Society is doing stuff year round to help these animals. Tell us a little more about what Animal Care Society is and the work you're doing.
Well, Animal Care Society was founded in 1984 as Kentucky's first no-kill rescue. So for 41 years, we've been serving dogs, cats, and families here in the Metro Louisville area and beyond in that capacity.
Fantastic. So when did you come into the picture for Animal Care Society?
So I actually have only lived in Louisville a few years now, and shortly after moving to town, I became involved in the organization as a volunteer and later got involved in sponsoring some events through my real estate business and was ultimately asked if I would be interested in serving on the board of directors. And I joined the board, and then it was actually in May of 2023 that the previous executive director resigned, and I was asked if I would be interested in stepping into the role in sort of an interim capacity to start. Here we are later, about 18, 19 months later. I've sort of lost track. That interim role has turned into a little bit more than interim, but we've made some great progress and headway for the organization. It's been a great time to be part of the life of this organization and seeing all that's happening and the tremendous support we have from the public.
Right. And I love that you were already so involved because your heart was in it and it just grew from there. And I think that is what is so special about a lot of these like nonprofit organizations is that people will really believe in what they're doing. And so tell us some more about what Animal Care Society does that's different from what other organizations might do.
Well, let me start by saying that there is an amazing community of animal welfare rescues and organizations, not just here locally, but really around the world. And a lot of times, if you're familiar with the church, I say that animal rescue is the ecosphere, the ecosystem is a lot like the church. There's all these different denominations, and everyone may have their own approach to it, but in the end, it's all sort of the same.
Ooh.
A lot of times I use that sort of descriptive idea just to sort of say that we're all working towards the same goal. And at Animal Care Society, we're unique in that we typically are able to accept dogs and cats regardless of their breed, their medical condition, how they've come to us. And because of the support of the community that we rely so heavily upon, we're able to get animals the medical attention that they need. Now we're in a position to where we actually have a training and behavioral specialist on our team that we can work with those animals to get them the training and support that they need so that we can do our best to make sure that once we find an adoptable family for them, that they stay in that home and we can keep them in that home and mitigate returns and all those things. And so really what we're working towards is becoming sort of a one-stop shop where folks can come in and they can find their forever adoptable friend, and then we can provide the training and the resources and the medical and all of the other supplemental care to ensure that that animal stays in the home forever and doesn't really have any reason to ever be returned to our shelter or any others.
That is a huge offering there. I mean, it's not just come and find your pet, take them home, but it sounds like a more long-term supportive relationship with that animal and their family, right?
It's almost like a continuum of care when you think about
Mm-hmm.
where the dog or cat come into us and we rehabilitate them or get them ready for adoption, and then we're with them until the very end of their lifespan. It can be along the journey with the family throughout that entire lifespan of that animal to support them and love on them and keep up with them.
That is so sweet. Well, I'm really excited about the upcoming dog show that's happening next week leading up to Derby. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, we are in full steam ahead for our Rescues on the Roses. This is a Derby-themed fashion show starring our adoptable dogs walking the runway. And so it's presented by our friends at Pet Suites. Pet Suites, for those who don't know, they provide dog boarding and grooming and training and all of those great things. In fact, my Lexi Grace has attended there many times, and just a little plug, but they're huge supporters of ours and they're our presenting sponsor. We're so grateful for that continued relationship. And we are partnering also with Mall St. Matthews, which is our host venue. And Dillard's at Mall St. Matthews is providing all of the fashionable looks this year, styling all of our models again. But the real stars of the show are going to be the adoptable dogs that we have that will be walking along with those models down the runway on April 13th at 7 p.m. at Dillard's at Mall St. Matthews. And we're going to have so much fun happening that night. We'll have a bourbon thieving experience where you can actually bottle your own bottle of bourbon with our friends at Augusta Distillery. We're going to have bourbon, wine, and spirit pulls. We'll have a silent auction and a live auction. And again, all of the proceeds go back to support our mission here at Animal Care Society. So we're looking forward to a really great night, a lot of fun.
That is going to be amazing. And is this the second time you've done it? Is that right?
So we've participated in fashion shows for the last several years. This is the first time we've held it at Mall St. Matthews and in partnership with Dillard's. So it's a different venue this year. It used to be in Nulu, but we're excited to host it at a new venue and with some exciting new partners as well.
And we've had a lot of rain lately here in the Louisville, Kentucky area. I don't know about you, but my house got hit with a tornado. So anything we can do indoors in this rainy season is very welcome to me. So I will definitely be there. And then there's also a pet contest going on online in the meantime, right?
So one of the, if you're unable to attend or even if you're able to attend, one of the really cool things that we do each year is called the Derby Dog of the Year contest. It's very simple. You can go to derbydogoftheyear.com. You can enter your dog in the contest. You just simply upload a photo. You pay a $25 donation that comes to Animal Care Society, and you share the dog on Facebook, Instagram, all the different social feeds, and promote it to your friends, family, and followers. They vote, and you can vote as many times as you'd like. So, and again, each vote I think is $5, and then 100% of those proceeds come back to us at Animal Care Society to support our mission. And then what we're doing is we're doing a first round of voting, and then we'll have the top 5 vote getters will have the opportunity to actually walk the runway with their adoptable dogs if they're local. So be sure to go on and enter your dog for the Derby Dog of the Year contest, and you can have the chance to walk the runway with your dog. And then we will actually announce the winner on the runway at Rescues on the Runway.
Oh my gosh. I have a picture of my daughter and our dog Gypsy that I really want to submit. Is it okay for a minor to walk the runway at this event?
Yeah, we have middle school, high schoolers walking. We even have an elementary schooler walking with her mom. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. I didn't even know about that element. She's going to be so excited. So we'll try to participate in that. Do you have any other upcoming things this year that Animal Care Society is doing? Because the thing about podcasts that I love is they're evergreen. So somebody might be listening to this, like right now we're in 2025, but they might be listening in the following years. Anything else you think they should be looking out for?
Well, I'll say the biggest thing to look out for is our social media pages. If you'll follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll find the most up-to-date information on all of our events and happenings. Then we have we could spend the entire podcast talking about all the events that are coming up this year between our free and low-cost vaccine clinics that we offer to the community, our adoption events in partnership with other local businesses in town, our educational opportunities that we offer and partner with different schools and other things like that. And then June 2nd, we have our inaugural Pars for Paws golf tournament at Glen Oaks Country Club. That'll be June 2nd. We'll be at the Norton Commons 4th of July parade on July 4th. And of course, our big annual Bark in the Park. I believe this is our 3rd anniversary, Bark in the Park, which will be September 27th at the Parklands of Floyd's Fork, Beckley Creek. It's a 5K and family festival. But the best way to stay on top of all of that is to go to animalcaresociety.org and join our mailing list, and you'll be kept well apprised of all that's happening here at Animal Care Society.
That is awesome. And I live near Beckley Creek Park, so I definitely want to get in on that as well. So I would love to hear from you about some more like big picture stuff as far as like the needs that you're meeting, because, I think we've all seen those advertisements on TV with like here are these sad animals that need to be rescued and all that. But where are we at? Because I've been seeing those my entire life, and like this started in 1984. So have you seen like the need grow over that time, or what's the state of things right now as far as animals that need to be rescued?
Well, I often say that we are in one of those industries where we wake up every day to put ourselves out of business, right? And it
Mhm.
doesn't look like we're going out of business anytime
Yeah.
soon, unfortunately. And, the scope and the outlook across the nation is dire. I mean, every shelter is at capacity, if not exceeding capacity. And I can tell you that right now we are on a waiting list. We have been on a waiting list for years of owners who can no longer care for their animals for whatever reason, who are waiting on that waiting list for a spot to open up so that we can bring those animals into our care. And that's not unique to Animal Care Society. I mean, if you look at Louisville Metro or any other rescue in town or other rescues around the country, we are continuously operating at capacity. We see a huge influx right now in surrenders from COVID puppies and COVID kitties, folks who were at home during COVID who adopted dogs and cats and now are getting back into what's more of a normal cadence of life and are no longer able to be home or can't, take care of the animals the way that they were. And, we're seeing a lot of surrenders as a result of that. And then, people come in on hard times. And,
Yeah.
when you have to choose between, I can't imagine being faced with having to give up an animal that is part of my family because I can no longer care for it, whether that be financially or physically or whatever the case may be. And so our hearts break for those who do have to surrender their animals. And, but that's why we're here. And that's why over the last 18 months, we've also, and I'll just sort of segue into this, we've been growing and we've been growing our campus and we've been growing our footprint so that we can better serve and assist in meeting that need here in town and beyond. And so I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself here, but it just sort of makes sense that the need is great. And when our original kennels were built and our original shelter was built in 1987, it was built with only 8 dog kennels. And today, the building has been modified and creatively adapted to accommodate 24 dog kennels, and those are consistently full. And we've also adapted some of our old puppy rooms, is what they were called, and a meet and greet room to accommodate for cats and to make cat rooms out of those. And so over the last year and a half, we've been able to actually acquire properties on either side of our existing campus. And one of those was an 1.25 acre open field, which is now serving as our enrichment and training yard. We host training classes out there and community events, and we use it to provide for great exercise and enrichment activities for the dogs in our care. And then on the other side, we were fortunate to purchase the former Rudy's Bar and Grill, which is a 5,200 square foot building that was a bar and grill that underwent extensive renovations. And we recently held the ribbon cutting for that back in February. And I'm actually sitting in that building now. And so this new building is our adoption center and cat building. And so all of our cats are now housed in here. It's allowed us to double our capacity for care for cats. And then it's also provided much needed office space. We haven't had office space to provide for our staff to have a place to work. We were literally working in a garage and working in an intake room. But what we've done is we've created a space where the cats have their own laundry room, their own kitchen, their own medical intake room. We actually were able to even create a little space for our staff to have a break room, a little place to go and decompress during the day and enjoy lunch. And we've also included a conference room for educational space and meetings and things of that nature to coordinate to host our volunteer orientations and all of those things. And so we now have that space, which is open just in February. And in the very near future, we will be breaking ground here within the next year on a new state-of-the-art dog kennel building, which will hopefully allow us to double our capacity for care for dogs. We're hoping to go from 24 kennels to about 50 or so in that ballpark. And the beauty of all of this is that, in the last 18, 19 months, we've grown from a campus that was about 1.25 acres where we've operated on for the last, 40 years to now we have a comprehensive campus. Okay, so now we've got just under 5 acres of land and room to grow, to continue to meet the need of this of the community and to serve, and that's what we're doing. And so it's very exciting times in the life of Animal Care Society, and it's one of those things that's sort of like a once in a generational opportunity to leave a lasting footprint for the organization and set it up in such a way that for years to come it can serve and be here to meet the need of the animals and the families that we serve.
Yeah, and that is incredible. I can't wait to see it. I am going to come see it next Saturday, and I can't wait. And my son would probably love to come work and volunteer there too. Do you hire people under 18?
So volunteers have to be at least 16 years of age or older, or accompanied by a parent or guardian. And so, but we're in the process of reimagining and relaunching our volunteer program, which will be relaunching in the next month or so. We've already begun having some meetings with our volunteer leadership teams and all of that. And so we will be relaunching here. I believe our first volunteer orientation is in May. I don't have it right in front of me, but yeah.
Okay. And then what do you have the volunteers do? Like clean out the kennels and also play with the animals, or what all do they do?
Well, we ask all of our volunteers when they first arrive to pick out a few items and use the first 15 minutes of their volunteer shift to help us out with some housekeeping items, whether that's scooping litter boxes or washing some dishes or making some enrichment activities for the dogs, and a list of other things on there, maybe fold some laundry or all that. And then depending on what volunteer track they've followed, whether they've gone down the dog track or the cat track or the thrift store track, or they can either work with the dogs and go walk dogs and spend some one-on-one time with the adoptable dogs, or they can go and volunteer with the cats. Or we have a thrift store in J-Town, which is actually celebrating its 10-year anniversary. And, we need a lot of help over there with processing of donations and merchandising and all of that. So there's a ton of things to do. And then for those who can't necessarily volunteer all the time in a consistent way, we have opportunities with events and outreach and clinics and other things where if someone maybe can't volunteer specific numbers of them out of the month, they can maybe pop in once every couple months and help out an event or something. So we really have tried to make it so that there's something for everyone.
Well, that's awesome. I don't think I knew about the thrift store at all.
Most people don't. Yeah. And it's a huge.
So it's for like items for the animals? Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, no. It's all types of things. It's house goods. It's basically, I mean, the easiest way to describe it is it's like our own little Goodwill or our own little St. Vincent de Paul. It's a thrift store that has home decor and clothing and jewelry and pots and pans and just a little bit of everything. And it's right over on Watterson Trail next to Ace Hardware. And yeah, so it's a great little secret over there, and a favorite thrift stop. It's called the Retail, the RE-TAIL, like retail thrift store.
So
and
cute.
So it's been there
And
for
it's
10
been
years.
there 10 years?
Yep.
What? Well, my goodness. I'm going to have to check that out.
We do our best. We have been inundated lately with donations and everything, and it's quite a bit trying to keep it organized and everything. But usually as
So
soon
you
as
need
things
more volunteers to organize it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And all of that. So
Well, that's really important to know. So I would like to kind of go back to the need that you wish you were working yourself out of a job. Would you say some of the rehoming is due to they can't afford the medical costs of taking care of their animals at all?
it runs the gamut. It's everything from not having the financial resources to provide for the medical care. And sometimes, I mean, just with the cost of everything going up across the board, sometimes it's as simple as being able to afford, just the everyday necessities, whether it's medications or food or, flea and tick and preventatives or whatever the case may be. And of course, we have resources that we work with to understand. We really work with the owners to try to figure out what exactly is going on.
Yeah.
And is there a way that we can help to keep the animal in the home with some of the resources that we have?
Mm-hmm.
So that's always like the first goal, is to keep the animal in the home that they're accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sort of runs the gamut as far as what the reasoning may be.
Yeah. And of course, there were booms like you were talking about with the COVID pets and things like that. But overall, I mean, is there not enough access to getting their animals like spayed and neutered that results in like overpopulation? Or can you speak to
Well,
any of those big picture
yeah.
scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, that has always been, I mean, as Bob Barker always ended The Price is Right, remember to have your, spayed or neutered, but and that continues to be one of the biggest things is getting your animals spayed and neutered. And yeah, I mean, that's perhaps the biggest. And then there's backyard breeding and all these other things that are going on while dogs and cats are literally sitting in shelters waiting for someone to come along and adopt them and give them a life. And, so it's like an onion that's multi-layered and faceted, but I think that starting with spay and neuter, that's a good place to start.
So, is there a myth or misconception that you think people have about animals that you wish everybody had more clarity on?
I think the biggest message and something that I often say is that we don't have an animal problem, we have a people problem. And if people would be responsible to take action to have your dogs spayed and neutered, to have, to practice and to learn how to communicate with your animals and how to handle them and how to train them. And oftentimes, the training for dogs is really not training dogs at all. It's really training the people how to handle dogs. And so if we can really educate the public on the resources available, how best to handle and communicate with animals, and all of those things, I think that we could, we could see that help.
That is a great answer. It's not the animals, it's the people that are the problem a lot of the time. So, for someone who wants to be a better pet owner or wants to get a pet and maybe they think, oh, but I couldn't afford to pay for this spay and neuter in the beginning, or I don't know where to even find training or how to afford training, where can they look? Whether it's through the Animal Care Society or any other local resources that you would recommend?
Well, you can start on our website at animalcaresociety.org, and you can also know that every animal that we adopt out comes spayed and neutered and fully vetted and up to date on vaccinations and all of that. But if you go to animalcaresociety.org, there's a host of resources available there. And if you're in the community and you're in need of a specific resource that's maybe not addressed on our website, give us a call. We have a great team of animal welfare professionals here who can help direct you to the resources that you might need. And, there's a whole host of partnerships in town. And if we don't know necessarily, or we don't necessarily offer something that you may be in need of, we can certainly work to connect you with the resources available in town to help you with whatever you may need.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Jason, for all the work that you're doing to make life better for these pets and these owners so they can keep their pets. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you next weekend. And if you've enjoyed this episode of the Lou Review podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like and a comment. Let me know if you learned something today about why Louisville is a great place to be, or if there's another business or organization or even an individual who's making an impact and you think they need to be spotlighted. Feel free to comment or reach out to me on social media. It is at Rosa Raves. That's ROSARAVES, and I'd be happy to meet them. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next episode.